Don't tell people the total end, but give them a clue as to where the book goes from there, because you've got to run the successful enterprise, underground enterprise, correct? And then he confronts some different issues, because you can't really monetize things in the Soviet Union. You can have money, but you can't leave with it, right?
Well, that's absolutely correct. He and the other millionaires uh, are close friends, and their word is their bond. You do not lie in that society. If you tell somebody you're going to deliver something for such and such price, and if you don't do it, you are excluded from that society. But in that society, as you get rich and you go to gambling parties where you gamble millions and you eat wonderful food, you can't go out in the public and buy a Mercedes Benz or a Jaguar because you call attention to yourself. And capitalism is a capital, it's a punishable by death in the old Soviet Union, firing squad, or if you're lucky, you get to go to prison. But what happens and what happened there is pretty much what happens in any political society. The only way you succeed is you share your wealth with the high elements of the Communist Party. But within the Communist Party, there are other factions, and they want to participate in the wealth. And this actually happened. And if they're not getting enough, as many rubles or dollars, in Russia they call them rubles, and you are in a certain faction of the Communist Party, you try to expose what's going on with these underground millionaires. So that happened, and many of them wind up in criminal trials. And by the way, Dr. Grossman at Cal Berkeley gave me a box full of trial documents. He was immensely helpful to me. All of this stuff is based on reality. So you have one faction of the Communist Party trying to get control. And eventually, obviously, there's some compromises and they share the wealth. And if my hero is lucky, he gets to go on and continue in his business. At the same time, he knows he's being followed by the KGB. And within the KGB, there are factions. And this is historical truth. It's basically, you got to follow the money. And that's what it's all about. So the name of the company is Paris Knights. And he and the love of his life have promised each other that they eventually want to escape to Paris. And that theme comes up over and over and over. I'm not going to reveal the ending, but it's you're going to feel like you're there. You're going to begin to understand what we're up against today with Russia, who is allied with China, who is allied with Iran, who's allied with North Korea. And unfortunately, it feels very ominous and it's not very comfortable. What do you think, David?
I think you're on the right track, and it does seem indeed. In fact, my understanding is that Putin has actually said publicly that it's his intention to reconstruct the USSR. And my reading on that, I believe that Putin in the later days of the USSR was actually a KGB operator. And so it's one of the ways that he was able to manipulate himself to power. So I think the story ties in dramatically with what he is trying to recreate today. And even his invasion of Ukraine ties in with the way that Stalin used his advantage at the end of World War II to seize the countries that were adjacent to Russia and create the USSR that's featured in your book.